There's a rule inside the IRS tax code that lets you pull money out of your 401k at age 55 without the 10% penalty that everybody's told you about. Almost nobody uses it. The ones who do retire 4 to 7 years earlier than their coworkers. And by the end of this video, I'm going to show you exactly how it works and who qualifies and the one mistake that disqualifies you instantly. I'm going to walk you through 5 things in this video. What the rule actually is, who qualifies, and there's a catch most people miss. How to use it without blowing up your tax bill. And the biggest mistake that I see people make with this. At the end, I'm going to show you the smartest way to sequence this with Social Security so you don't leave 6 figures on the table. Here's why this matters. The normal rule is touch your 401k before 55 and the IRS hits you with a 10% penalty on top of your regular income tax. So if you pull $100,000 out at 56, you could lose $35,000 to taxes and another $10,000 just to the penalty. That's $45,000 gone. The rule of 55 erases the penalty piece entirely. So for someone who has $500,000 in their 401k, we're talking about access to the money 4 years earlier than the IRS would normally allow. That's the difference between retiring at 55 and grinding away until 59 and a half. Here's the rule in plain English. If you leave your job, that means quit, retire, get laid off, it doesn't matter. In or after the calendar year you turn 55, you can withdraw from that employer's 401k without the 10% early withdrawal penalty. Let me say that again because the wording matters. It's not after you turn 55, it's in the calendar year you turn 55. So if your 55th birthday is in December and you leave in March, you still qualify. The IRS treats the entire year as the year you turned 55. And for certain public service workers, police, firefighters, federal law enforcement, air traffic controllers, that age drops to 50. So if that's you, this rule kicks in 5 years earlier. Now there's a catch that disqualifies most people. And this is important to understand. The rule of 55 only applies to the 401k at the employer you just left, not the 401k from your job before, not from your IRA, not from your spouse's 401k, just the one you walked away from in or after age 55. So this is the move I see people make that costs them everything. They leave their job at 55, and the first thing their advisor tells them to do is roll the 401k into an IRA. It sounds clean, right? Let's consolidate everything. The second that money hits the IRA, the rule of 55 is dead. It has to stay in the 401k. It has to stay with the employer you were just working with. And you don't have to take it all out. You can take it out monthly. But if you roll it over to an IRA, you just locked your own money up until 59 and a half, and you didn't even know you did it. Okay, so how do you use this thing without setting your tax bill on fire? Step 1 is leave your 401k where it is. Your old employer's plan usually will allow partial withdrawals. Most do, but not all. So you need to call the plan administrator before you separate from that employer and ask one question. Do you allow for partial distributions for participants who qualify for the rule of 55? If they answer yes, then you're in business. Step 2, only pull out what you need. Every dollar that you withdraw is taxed as ordinary income. So if you pull out $80,000 in a year where you have no other income, your effective tax rate is going to be way higher than if you pull out $80,000 on top of a $120,000 salary. Step 3, and this is the one that separates from people who actually retire from the people who talk about retiring. Use the rule of 55 as a bridge, not as a piggy bank. The biggest mistake I see with this is that people treat the rule of 55 like found money. So they retire at 55, they pull out $150,000 from their 401k the first year, they take the family on a trip, they redo the kitchen, and then they wake up at 58 and half of their nest egg is gone. So the rule of 55 is a bonus. It's early access to the money that still has to last you 30 to 40 years. The right way to think about this, ask yourself, when you make a financial decision, does this defer taxes, eliminate taxes, or create taxes? A rule of 55 actually creates taxes, that withdrawal, in the year that you take it. So you want to use it strategically. only in the years where it's the most effective money that you can touch. Most people claim Social Security at 62 because they're scared of running out of money before it kicks in. But here's the math. Every year you delay Social Security past 62, your benefit grows by around 8%, guaranteed by the federal government. There's no investing on earth that gives you a guaranteed 8% return. So the sequence looks like this. From 55 to roughly 60 or 70, you live off of your Rule of 55 401k withdrawals and any other taxable brokerage money that you have. You let Social Security grow. Then when you finally turn it on at age 70, your check is somewhere between 60 and 80% higher than it would have been at 62. I have clients who use this exact sequence to increase their lifetime Social Security income by over $400,000. So $400,000 just by knowing the order to spend it in. Now you have to believe that Social Security is still going to be around for this to work. And if you do, then this is a strategic way to increase the amount and let that Social Security grow, live on the money from your 401k and any other taxable accounts that you have. So let's recap. The Rule of 55 lets you withdraw from your current 401k penalty-free in or after the year you turn 55, and 50 if you're in public safety. Do not roll it into an IRA before you use it. Only pull what you need and treat it like a bridge to Social Security at 70. Ask every tax question every single time. Does this defer, eliminate, or create? The other benefit that I have not mentioned yet of retiring at 55, I personally retired at 45. Retiring at 55 gives you an extra 10 years to do things like physically that you might not be able to do if you wait until 65. So I strongly encourage, if you can take advantage of this rule, to give yourself another 10 years in retirement, whether you're semi-retired or fully retired, using this time where you still have all of your physical capabilities and adding to the fun and the goal setting and the things that you can do. One other thing I would like to add, if you retire at 55, you give yourself an extra 10 years where you can physically do the things that you want to do. Let's say you want to go on a bike ride across Europe, or you want to hike somewhere, or you just want to spend time with your grandkids. Retiring at 55 gives you an extra 10 years that you wouldn't normally have. I see people who wait until they're 65 and then their health isn't good enough for them to do the things that they've been dreaming about their whole life, waiting for a retirement that essentially never happens. Another thing that is a benefit with employers, if you retire at 55, sometimes, not always, my employer that I retired at 45, my employer said if you work until 55, we will still allow you access to insurance. So I could have stayed on their insurance plan had I stayed until 55. Not only would I have had access to the 401k, I also could have completely stayed on their insurance basically for the rest of my life until I hit 65, and then I would have gone on with government insurance. So I get a big question that I get from a lot of people is, when you retire early, what do you do for insurance? Now, I retired early at 45, so I buy insurance on the exchange. But another benefit, and I would check with your HR people on this, another benefit that you get is sometimes your employer, if you stay until 55, they will allow you to stay on their insurance. Now, if this is the first video of mine that you've watched, I teach people how to build wealth and retire early. So hit subscribe so the next one lands in your feed.